So, hey everyone, welcome to our What's New presentation, Work Smarter, Work Faster, and Work Together. We're your hosts for today's event. My name is Tony Riggs. I'm out of our Houston office.
I'm Johnny, out of the Salt Lake office here.
And my name is Travis Quick. I'm out of our Edina, Minnesota office. I just wanted to say thanks for joining us. We're really excited to have you with us today to be talking about all of the new enhancements and features for SOLIDWORKS 2022. As well as a 3D experience platform, and excited to just share all this stuff with you. So, just like everyone watching, the three of us each come from different backgrounds. And when it comes to our experience and use of SOLIDWORKS, just like you, everyone uses SOLIDWORKS a little bit differently, and we wanted to just show off some of the most important things that will highlight what we think will be most useful to the majority of our audience.
These tools are going to be able to help you and us as well get to the end result of our designs, understand our studies better, faster, so that we can get onto the prototype in a better fashion and in a quicker way, so that we don't have to build so many of them to figure out if it's going to work. We have all the tools here, and all the added features of 2022 are just going to make everything easier.
Yeah. And just for some quick housekeeping as well, throughout this presentation, we will be prompting you with just some quick poll questions. Because of the time that we have available, please just try to get in there, get some answers in there, just so we can get some feedback, get some audience participation. It's always nice from our perspective. We also encourage you to use the chat functionality to ask any questions that you might have. So, we're going to be starting off with first some new items with GoEngineer. And for my Midwest folks, it's all new, am I right? So we're going to highlight some of the new items and then show off the new tools within the software.
So instead of starting with death by PowerPoint, I wanted to poke around our recently updated GoEngineer website, because there's a lot of tools on there for finding all kinds of information. So we want to kind of educate on where else we can find things. So later on, when we show some of the new features like inspection or composer, if you're not familiar with those products, remember you can come back to the website, and there's all kinds of information, say, about inspection. There's videos, there's tools, there's frequently asked questions, all about inspection, and teaches you a little bit more about from the beginning, not just the new things. So I actually kind of like the SOLIDWORKS Composer page, because it actually has components of the page that are output from Composer. So interactive documents, if you're looking for assembly and disassembly instructions, that's what you need Composer for. So just like those two products, we've got other product pages if you want to dig into some of the basics on those products.
Awesome.
So what else is new? Well, it may have been a while since you've seen us in person, or definitely since the What's New from last year. So our location map may have changed a little bit. It's getting little green dots scattered all over the place. But watch for some new updates to the map, maybe coming soon. So even right from this web page, there's a link for tech support. So what's new with tech support? From 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Central, whether you call in or email in, there's multiple ways to get a hold of the tech support team. They're there to help you out. There's even a place down here where we can schedule a support session. So whenever it's convenient for you, set something up. Okay. So now, what is the difference between tech support and an application mentoring session? So instead of, hey, I'm having trouble with my graphics card, maybe it's, hey, can you help me set up my weldment profiles? Or I'm having trouble with this piece of sheet metal. It's just not behaving. That's more of a mentoring session. So we've got some options to schedule a session. We can come down and pick one of the topics. There's an option to redeem a coupon. So check with your sales representative or one of your AEs to get one of those codes. You can come through and pick from this huge list of application engineers, find one that you like. I used to like it because my name was at the end, and we've got Travis and Wes that have kind of bumped me from that from that position. I'm no longer last.
I'm only in sim.
You know, so just pick one that whose qualifications look the best, and we can pick on that person. We'll choose Wes down here at the very bottom. He needs picked on. So once we choose Wes, the next step is kind of setting what your time zone is, just kind of match things up. But from there, you actually have visibility into his calendar when he's available. So let's make him get to work at 8 a.m. Get to work early. So we can come in and choose a time on his calendar, go through and reserve that spot, fill out a little information about what the problem is you're having. The more information you guys can give us, the better. And then all you have to do is really just schedule the session.
And yeah, these application mentoring sessions, being new to GoEngineer, these are pretty awesome. And for our Midwest folks, this is definitely going to be a new experience, new ability for them to go in and schedule time with our guys. So that's definitely really, really cool.
Yeah, pick our brains and get some information out of this.
I like to think of them as office hours. They get an hour of our time, we get an hour of their time, we get to collaborate on the issue that's at hand, and we can teach you new tools that you may not know as well, and maybe teach you some new things that you're hoping to use for your designs.
So from there, we've got a new tool that we're kind of proud of. We'll be talking about it a little bit more in the SOLIDWORKS admin section, but we've got a new GoEngineer customer portal. So be watching for more information about that a little bit later on. Okay. So what else is new? Let's talk a little bit about our training options. Okay, we've always been very proud of our training, whether it's in person or on site. You know, kind of custom training. Over the last couple of years, the online training has gotten very, very, very popular. So you know, share your screen, go back and forth with someone virtually. That's pretty good. But we've got another option. We've got this option for self-paced. So we've got some of our own GoEngineer created content. You can actually pick through one of the bundles, pick a class, and start up the class. You've got 30 days to go through the content, watch the videos, go through the exercises, and just let that information really absorb in, and do it kind of on your own schedule, and kind of go from there. So we're really proud of the self-paced classes that we've got going on. So what if we don't know what kind of training our company needs? We're actually offering a skills assessment, so we can come in and help your company decide what kind of training do you need. Do we need essentials, advanced, sheet metal, weldments, and we'll help tailor custom classes for your company. So just check with your local applications engineer, and we'll try to set something up for you.
Yeah, you know, I think this is something that I've been really interested in, because it really gives companies a chance. You know, if you want to invest more into your company, one way to do that is to invest in your employees. And this is a great way to bring those employees to just enhance their skills. And I'm looking forward to doing some of these myself.
Yeah. So what else is there? From the support drop down, we've got blogs. There's all kinds of interesting articles that our engineers have written, all kinds of different topics that are there. Same area, there's a drop down for buying guides. There's a couple there, but like on the SOLIDWORKS simulation side of things, what package of simulation do we need? You know, there's some questions there that kind of lead you through picking which level. And there's buying guides for other topics as well.
Excellent.
So same area, the video library. We've got a ton of videos out there that are great for people. You can watch the videos right here on this web page that pops up. There's some audio there. You can actually click on the YouTube link and watch it in YouTube.
Good afternoon. Today we wanted to meet with you guys to discuss.
Or we can click on the link and go straight to our YouTube channel. I usually like going to the video tab, do a quick search for a topic, maybe weldments, that type of thing. Got 92,000 subscribers, you know, 22.4 million views. So we're really proud of the YouTube content that we've got going. There's always continuing programs to update those videos.
Yeah, weekly, monthly basis, we're uploading new videos, so go right now, go subscribe. We need to get to 100,000.
Yeah, we're almost there.
We're almost there, yeah.
So, what about additive manufacturing? That's one of the areas where I get to have fun. Well, I get in trouble if I have too much fun. But we've got some interesting developments here on the 3D printer side. Okay, so if we look at the drop down for additive manufacturing, there's going to be different styles of printers, I guess you would say. On the FDM side of things, if we can scroll down and look at the printers, we've got a new F770. It's ginormous. It's got a 39.4 by 24 by 24 build volume. Can make some massive parts. So that's something that it's pretty cool to see in use. If we look at the PolyJet side of things, we've got some options there. There's a new printer, it's the J35. So it's a desktop printer, just multiple material capacity, but helps you get your ideas starting to come to life. So some pretty interesting stuff that we can do on those.
Absolutely.
And you mentioned that was desktop, that's also for the office, so there's less fumes, you don't need a clean room for it, you can just have it next to your receptionist.
Yeah, we've got them in our lobby.
That's right, we have them in our lobbies, come on down to the Salt Lake City office.
So there's a couple more options on the resin side of things. So resin printers, the kind of the stereolithography, the Neo 450 and 800. There's some amazing materials for those printers. You've got different printer specs here we can look at for the different sizes of the printers. We've also got, still on that resin side of things, the Stratasys Origin 1. It's more of a DLP style printer. Lots of very interesting materials on that one that can really, kick up your, it's not rapid prototyping, it's additive manufacturing nowadays. So another option, how about powder bed fusion with the Stratasys H350? So we've got production level printing with the SAF technology. Okay, so if you need more information about that, definitely check on these pages.
Excellent.
So we've got MakerBot, so if you need information about MakerBots, you can actually come down and get some of the printer specs. Actually, buy it now from the website, directly from the e-store. There's a couple different categories there. If we look at the merchandise tab, there's actually a sale on backpacks. So get your GoEngineer gear if you need some, right? So the question we always get, but can you print in metal? Okay, that's what everybody's asking.
Right.
The answer is yes, right? So we've got a couple options with Exact Metal and Velo 3D. Some amazing prints in metal, functional end-use parts. There's some great videos on the website where we're actually going to show a very interesting video going into a little more of the highlights.
So it's some pretty cool stuff. Excited to see what some of that additive manufacturing functionality can do and just the options we've got there. I'm actually really excited. We haven't gotten one yet, but I've been told we're going to get a printer in the Edina office, so I'm really looking forward to that personally. Getting into some of our topics on what's new for SOLIDWORKS, we're going to get started with user experience. So we've got a handful of items that we want to highlight, and the first one is command search. And that's now integrated into the S key. So instead of going up to the top right corner, we can see how we can use that command search functionality just a little bit differently. So this is a small but really awesome enhancement. The command search functionality can be accessed directly within the S key. So when we're looking for something, we just hit the eyeball, and SOLIDWORKS is going to go and find that for us in the interface. And so from there, we can, just use that command as needed.
So the next thing that I'm kind of interested in is this numeric input for coordinate systems. In the past, I probably made just a few coordinate systems. But now with this new enhancement, we've actually got the ability to dial in the XYZ value for the coordinate system and even change the angle vector for the different directions and create our coordinate system there. The icon for coordinate systems updated a little bit. You can see here, it actually gives you 3 planes that go along with the coordinate system. You can actually create sketches on those planes.
Oh, that's awesome.
And for those in the sim world, we generally work with reference geometry and planes, and what better way to do that with instead of searching through your feature tree than using a hotkey. For 2022, we're going to, in this example, we're going to duplicate a part, and instead of going through the feature tree, we're just going to click Q, click our sort coordinate system, and now those planes are selectable for us. So like Tony mentioned, we can create a sketch, we can use that for reference geometry, use it for fixtures, whatever you may need it for.
Additionally, we've got the shortcut menu quick add functionality. This is a little thing, but just a great impact. So some of our more commonly used features can be added to our shortcut bar with just a simple single click. Again, when we're searching for items, instead of hitting the eyeball, we hit the plus. And that adds our mirror capability directly to our S key for some on-the-fly customization. This makes customizing our SOLIDWORKS interface incredibly easy and just making SOLIDWORKS work for you.
One of the things that I've always been kind of annoyed with was just when you go to tools options and system options, what does that option really mean? So there's some new functionality with tools options, little I symbol for information. There's a few of them that are there. I anticipate this growing to a lot more. But if we hover over the I symbol, it gives us a more drawn out explanation of what that option is going to give us.
And if you are dismissing messages, we have the option to show those or not show those as well. Thanks. So yeah, sometimes as we get more in depth with our design, sometimes we run into these messages often. So now we can say, okay, we know what this does. We don't need to see this anymore. Though on the teaching side, we generally always show these so we can explain these and show how we can turn on and turn off these options.
Excellent. Well, that leads us to our first poll question. So let me pull that up for you here. So for future updates, what interests you more? Are you looking for improved performance, new features, or better stability? So go ahead and get your answers in for those. Give you a little bit for that. So personally, I'm a big fan of better performance, seeing just SOLIDWORKS work better and move faster. So just kind of seeing those results come in.
Yeah. We can see the results as they come in, so we're starting to see it.
It's bouncing around.
Yep.
Stability looks up there.
I know stability is up there for me. I've crashed SOLIDWORKS trying to brute force some simulations, but I do that on purpose to test it. But I always like the stability, just to go the extra mile and say, maybe I do want to make this mesh control a little bit better here. Maybe I do want to see if I can get this filleted a little bit better and have it, have everything work out a little more intricately there. But I don't want to mess up the pole. You guys decide definitely what works best for you.
It looks pretty balanced.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to close that up here and just kind of share those results with you guys. So that ended up being, fairly well balanced. We got 34% looking for better performance, more improved performance, 40%, looking for that stability in the software, and 26% looking for new features. And that's another thing, new features, that's always the glitz and glamour with that new version of SOLIDWORKS. We're always looking for what's new. The stability and performance are great, but you don't always see those results right off the bat. So that leads us into parts. So with parts, we've got a long list of items that we're going to be talking about, so bear with me. The first one we're going to look at is hybrid modeling. So SOLIDWORKS 2022 has some great new enhancements for using mesh BREP formatted files, and tools have been included to help us view and edit some of that critical information that we'd be getting with that geometry. Now on this part, we can see that our file's been imported from the supplier in the mesh BREP format. And in 2022, we can do some quick, simple features like chamfers, adding extrudes. Maybe want to spice this up. This is going into a pretty expensive submersible, so we want to make this look as nice as possible and get our company logo on there. All this is being done on that mesh file. So simple SOLIDWORKS features being used on mesh data. Definitely just some great functionality there. Hole Wizard slots has some enhancements as well. Some of them kind of similar to the slot sketch command. So in 2022, Hole Wizard slots can now be dimensioned to the arc tangents or the arc centers. When we add these to our geometry, the orientation of those can be switched just with a simple tab key, getting those features onto our geometry just quick and easy. Bidirectional draft is one that I've really been excited about. It's something that I've been looking for years, just making our design process that much simpler. So again, this is a pretty nice part, or pretty nice assembly this is going into, and we want to make this part look as nice as possible. And one of the ways to do that is to add some draft that really breaks this part up nicely. So we're going to create a parting line through the middle of our component. And new for 2022, we can create a draft in both directions. So independent draft angles, top and bottom, getting just an awesome looking part. Previously, we had to create this in two separate features, so this is definitely going to minimize the amount of steps and features that are required.
Yeah, the smaller the feature manager tree, the better.
Exactly. So taking a look at Pack and Go, we've got some new functionality here. And when we save bodies out of a multi-body part, SOLIDWORKS is now going to be able to recognize those external files. So we're going to quick save those, and when we create a Pack and Go, we can select and choose which of these bodies come along for the ride in that Pack and Go, making this just a much simpler process to work with. Section plane on axis is another enhancement. Sectioning's been around in the software since forever, and when we're trying to, section views are great, but when we're trying to get specific geometry shown, it's difficult because we don't have a suitable plane going through our part. So for example, this cylindrical part, there's not really anything we can use. For 2022, we now can select a cylindrical face or axis to be able to get that section to go right through the center of that axis, getting the information we're looking for quickly and easily. So this one I'm pretty excited to see. In one of the previous versions, SOLIDWORKS included the thread tool, and although it's great, it's always creating modeled threads, which can be pretty difficult for SOLIDWORKS to handle sometimes, and not always necessary. It's great for creating for additive manufacturing or rapid prototyping, but we don't always need it in the model. So the new Stud Wizard, just has some awesome functionality. It allows us to suppress those expensive modeled threads, and we're able to create cosmetic versions of them. So let's take a look here. Give me 1 second to get that going. So when we go to use that thread, or the Stud Wizard, that's just underneath the Hole Wizard next to the thread command, it's going to automatically recognize the diameter and allow us to choose different thread sizes and pitches. In addition to that, we can add in a undercut to get the level of detail that we're looking for this model. We're also able to add, so the Stud Wizard is also going to allow us to add annotations that can be called out in our 3D or our 2D drawings. Getting into configuration properties, there are a couple of enhancements that are very helpful for those of you using configurations. Configuration properties have now been split into 2 separate tabs. The first is the Configuration Properties tab, where we can add properties, and using the pull down we can specify which configurations these are going to be applied to. The new Properties Summary tab kind of summarizes all of our properties and allows us the ability to compare the properties across our configuration, allowing us to change specific properties for each config. Structure Systems is one of the products I'm really excited about. If you've been using weldments at all, weldments is great, but when we start creating large systems, those 3D structures can get really complicated, and sketching that is very difficult. Structure Systems provides users the ability to create frames and structures quickly with minimal effort. And with the enhancements to secondary members, if we needed to add some stability members to our upright, adding these in 2022 is much simpler. We can use the Point to Member tool, which, selecting our point and then our members, we can add those secondary members in one command. Our corner treatment option is still as simple as ever. And once we're done, we're going to have very unique structural members that don't require complex 3D sketches. So definitely a very simple process. This one's really cool. Structure Systems now includes connection elements. These connection elements are used to just add some of those common, maybe more library feature items that we'd see in other areas of SOLIDWORKS. So when components need to be bolted instead of welded to our assembly, the new Define Connection Element option is a great enhancement for 2022. Now, common elements are going to include base plates, L brackets, and much more. Simply drag these onto the model, onto the end of our structural members, and if we get some geometry that doesn't quite fit, we can change the size of that in the Property Manager. So that's pretty cool. Connection elements are also really smart. So talking about those bolted on members, our bottom, that's going to be used for our skid assembly. We can add that connection element, and once we've added that, if we hide it, you can see that we can cut predefined holes into those parts.
So it's like a smart part for a weldment.
Exactly. Definitely saving us time and effort when we're creating our structural systems. seems simple, but for weldments, gussets and end caps are really easy to put onto our models, and that functionality has now been added to structure systems. So we can see, just adding in an end cap, we can select the end of our face of our structural member, and it's going to be that easy. So that same functionality we see in weldments is now in structure systems. Now, this one's identified in structure systems, but this works in other areas of SOLIDWORKS as well. And again, like the draft command, something that I'm really excited to see, because we're minimizing some of those redundant tasks. So with mirror in 2022, it's definitely a pretty common feature that most of you or all of you probably use. And we can finally mirror across two different planes in one feature. To me, that's huge. So we simply select those planes and then the elements we want to mirror, and we're done. We don't have to create that in two separate steps. And we're going to just grab the rest of those elements and mirror upwards as well. So definitely one of my favorite features. I was just really excited to see this in the next version.
Yeah, so use the Q key to show the planes.
Yep.
Pick both of them.
Yep.
And you don't have to mirror from left to right, then front to back. It's all in one fell swoop.
One command. So along with weldments, we do have some sheet metal capabilities as well. So we're going to take a look at that next. In 2021, we introduced the ability to create an edge flange on a circular edge of a non-planar base. And this has been improved to allow us the ability to edit that flange directly with the edit flange profile. So now we can specify the exact edge that we're looking for without having to go through too many complicated steps. So with all these enhancements to our part functionality in SOLIDWORKS, hopefully this will be an encouragement to get on to the next version and take advantage of these tools. And with that, I believe, Johnny, you're up next.
I'm going to take it away from parts, because when we have many parts, what do we get?
Assemblies.
Assemblies, exactly. New features for 2022 are listed as here, but we're going to go through them one by one. The next design, yes, the first one's going to be we're going to be opening drawings from large design review. But the first thing we see is this little 13 on the bottom of the screen. This large design review model opened in 13 seconds. It is over 6,000 parts. So keep that in mind. We're going to right click the top name and we're going to open the detailed drawings. And this is going to open in an astonishing 21 seconds. Did we run a side by side?
It was a lot longer.
It was a lot longer.
We're talking 4 or 5 minutes easily to open this drawing.
Yeah, so this is an astronomical, significant change in much more faster opening, and it's just getting through with, to the next step.
And you can do so many different things in detailing mode. We'll talk about that more when we get to drawings.
That's coming up. We won't get too ahead of ourselves, of course. So since we can open a drawing in there, yes, we can open a sub-assembly in large design review. And that's basically through the same way. We just go to the item that we want to open, right-click it, open in large design review. And some of you may have seen that there is now a caret at the side of that. Yes, we can open it in a resolved format depending on which subassembly we're looking for. On the sim side, this is really nice for me because when I'm going through different components, different configurations, I'd like to open up the entire model and say, okay, this is where I really want to work on, and this is where we can actually start getting to the next level of telling people what we need to work on. So
yeah, well, and for SOLIDWORKS users as well, I really love it because if I'm looking to open up a specific component or assembly, instead of trying to find that component in my Windows Explorer and then opening that in Lightweight or Resolved, we can do that right from the graphical interface.
Exactly.
So that's awesome.
Yeah, and now an extension off of this is when we need to add components into that. We can have a triad. Well, we have the added triad, so now we can actually see where the part is inside the design space. So there's less sifting involved. There's just less, rotating the model to see, oh, okay, where did this import? Where's my origin point? No, we can just select the item, bring it up, and then start going through the mates that we want to select this with the proper faces, of course. And that segues into quick mates. Very nice to have the added feature to where instead we don't have to select the orientation after the fact. We can do it just from the get-go as we're defining the mate. So here we're going to make this concentric, and instead of saying, oh, okay, once we're done flip it, no, just flip it right now. And another theme that we're going to see, kind of, you guys have probably already seen it now, is this added advanced feature recognition options. We'll note here that we have like a regular cylindrical face, we have conical faces that we'll be able to change and recognize. And these are all just within your right click menu. Very, very, very seamless. So now that we have a couple bolts in here, you guys may be thinking, okay, well, how do we populate the rest of them? Very keen observation, pattern recognition is getting better. It's kind of scary how good it's getting, actually, because it's going to recognize the seed, and from there we'll take our pattern, click on the seed of our pattern, and it's immediately just starting to recognize where the adjacent faces are, to where it's picking up the same diameter, same circumference. There's just added advanced intelligence to this, so that's now much more of a seamless process to add parts to our designs. So we'll do that for one of the top ones, and of course this feature does work for the other conical faces, and we'll do the same thing for our foundation bolts, just really write home on how quick this process has become. And becoming. It's probably going to get faster, right?
Yeah, and I love how that even recognizes the pattern on the opposite face and orients those parts exactly the way they're supposed to be.
Yeah, kind of scary, but good scary, I guess. And of course, we're in Assemblies, so what would an assembly discussion be without configurations? It's a really great example here because we're going to go both forwards and backwards. We're going to be suppressing certain things out of the configuration tree, and we're going to be able to do that on the opposite end, basically just add flexibility to all of the configurations that we can make, just adding the seamless process of saying, hey, this is the configuration we want to work in, we've tested these in these configurations, and from the part level we can now designate what becomes a configuration instead of sifting through the tree and making sure that we have a feature tree that's clean so that we can understand what we're selecting.
Just the fact that it automatically creates the table for us is just amazing.
Oh yeah, like it just cuts down on so many steps that we would originally be, okay, we got to make this column, now we got to make this column. It's there now. So here we got these suppressed, and we're going to go through and apply these, and that is the configuration that we have. So yeah, just many added bonuses, and of course we've got the triads. Love to see it. So yeah, and we're going to go backwards from here. Got these deselected, and now we're going to create a new configuration. And if we have to add them, we have the configuration filters, so we can go in and change the custom property name instead of just having less. We just have less clicks. It's so nice. It's so simple. Just have less clicks.
Yeah. Having those filters there definitely really it simplifies the process of going in and editing some of that content, or only seeing exactly what we're looking for.
Right. And of course we have our included BOM features for when we have our assemblies going out to a drawing, to a machinist, whomever is going to be putting these pieces together. Now from the part itself, we won't have to go back and individually say, okay, this needs to be excluded, this needs to be excluded. No more. It is now a added feature in the component properties. And yeah, I think there it was. It's already gone. So quick. Just exclude it in the properties, and it is already given us, as a default, is already selected for us. So less backtracking in our design, more forward tracking, if you will. So SOLIDWORKS is basically trimming the fat on the design process. I don't think we could have asked for anything more, except for more, of course.
More is better.
More is better. It's never enough.
So moving on from assemblies, we're going to get into drawings. And, coming from my background being in government industries, detailing drawings and getting all that information was pretty important. So drawing enhancements are always something that I'm looking out for. So some of the new enhancements are going to be detailing mode, dimensioning, geometric tolerancing. starting with detailing mode, this is similar to large designer view in that I really see detailing mode and LDR being where SOLIDWORKS is headed in terms of functionality. We're going to be using more LDR, more detailing mode, because that's just going to get us our content, our information faster, and with the enhanced capabilities, just some really great stuff here. So if you're not familiar with it, detailing mode has been evolving over the last 3 years. Opens files in sequence and doesn't require loading of any parts or assemblies. We can insert whole tables, we can insert standard views from our view palette, and we even have earlier version support all the way back to SOLIDWORKS 2001. So what does this really mean for you? A lot of times, some of these older files, this older data, we don't have the referenced models anymore. Maybe they got lost or what happened. Well, with detailing mode, you can open these files up, open the drawings up without having those referenced models. So we can still get access to that information and make some of these edits and changes. Dimensioning has been updated, and we got some cool techniques here. The first one is going to be in context menu updates when dimensioning, radial and diameter values. So we can simply click on one of these values, and that in context pop-up window allows us to switch between diameter, radial, or creating a linear diameter value. So definitely some pretty cool functionality there. In addition to this, new for 2022, we have symmetric linear diameter dimension. It's a mouthful.
Yeah.
Nailed it.
It allows us to specify the diameter and an edge, and we're able to add in those diameter values without getting the leader lines on both sides. So it really trims, like Johnny was saying, trims the fat. We only are showing exactly what we need. We don't have to have a lot of extra content on the screen. For me, this is providing a really nice, clean looking drawing. Next up is geometric tolerance interface. So for all you guys out there creating GD&T content, this is pretty important. So in 2022, we now have a brand new interface for adding in geometric tolerancing. So if we go and select GD&T, we're going to have a more intuitive step-by-step input for creating some of this content. So we can put in our diameter values, add our material condition, and all of this is done in this completely revamped interface. This has definitely been completely overhauled. When we're adding this content, we can come in and add in our specification, our zone, features, filters, characteristics, modifiers, datum references, whatever you need. So to me, this is just a much nicer interface to work with than what we had previously, and really gets exactly what I'm looking for. In addition to some of this, we can add adjacent and auxiliary indicators. We can create stacked and composite indicators. And if we screw up, deleting those are also just as easy. So definitely a lot of really cool enhancements there. Having a BOM detailed, so another enhancement is BOM detailed cut list, and this is just improving the way we can create and manage our BOMs. So if you've worked with some complex sub-assemblies or complex cut lists, we've got a lot of information in each of these sub-weldments or structures. So how do we represent that level of detail at the assembly level? And in 2022, we now can provide, a detailed cut list is now supported across all BOM types. And we can aggregate multiple cut lists into an assembly bill of materials. So all of this is really just adding additional flexibility and control for our users when they're going to detail some of these assemblies. So a lot of great tools there. And we wouldn't be complete without some sheet metal enhancements as well. And one of those with drawings is going to be added flat pattern functionality. So if you're creating any sort of templates and creating predefined views in SOLIDWORKS, Flat patterns can now be included in your predefined views, making creating those templates for sheet metal parts that much better. In addition to that, we have visibility, or sorry, we have the ability to toggle visibility for our bend lines and that content through the heads up view dropdown. So just with a simple click, instead of trying to navigate through different views, finding sketches and hiding sketches, that's just going to be a much simpler process.
On to poll question number two.
Number 2?
Yep.
Let's see what the feedback gives us.
Is that, yeah.
Yep.
All right, there we go. So our poll question number 2, what version of SOLIDWORKS are you running now? We've got SOLIDWORKS 2021, 2020.
Older than 18,
Older than 18, yeah.
2022 pre-release one.
Hopefully that's not in a manufacturing environment. That's, you want to hold off on that one.
So I think Service Pack 0 is supposed to be out like the 23rd.
Any minute?
We'll see.
Hopefully,
So it's
yeah.
it's coming. So it looks like a pretty good amount of people running 2021.
Yeah, it's great to see, with all the enhancements to these later versions. I love working on the later software. Anytime I got to go back, it feels like I'm designing with one hand tied behind my back. We'll give that, it's looking like most of our crews voted here, so we'll close that up
Nice.
and share the results so everybody can see. So we've got a solid 45% of users already, on SOLIDWORKS 2021, so that's awesome. We've got 8% still on SOLIDWORKS 2018 or older. It's okay, use what you're comfortable with, but we do want to encourage you to get onto some of those later versions. Makes it easier for us to support you, and some of those, as you've seen in our presentation so far, we got some great enhancements, great functionality, making your job easier.
Sometimes it's just the little things that make the bigger difference. So.
Absolutely.
And we may have had one person in the audience from GoEngineer with the the PR one. So whoever you are, thank you for populating that answer.
Yep.
Okay, so we wanted to do a little bit more about what's new with GoEngineer. We were talking earlier. We're excited about the new things. We're excited to share the new things. And so there's some new stuff with GoEngineer. So we've got a little video here to play for everybody.
Who is GoEngineer? We often get asked this question, and frankly, there are a number of answers. Our mission statement says that we provide software, technology, and expertise that enable our customers to unlock design innovations and deliver better products faster. And while that is true, that's only part of the GoEngineer story. From our inception, GoEngineer has been focused on partnering with our customers to make sure they have the tools their engineers need to enable them to create the products and develop the technologies that change the world. We're proud to play a role, however big or small it may be, in helping companies develop incredible products, like more sustainable energy solutions, new and more efficient ways to transport people to the places they need to go, groundbreaking healthcare devices that save lives, and much more. Ultimately, our customers change the way our world operates. This is why we come to work every day. But there's still so much more to who we are. We could talk about all the awards we've received, the 40 offices across the U.S., the 150 plus certified technical people, the 22 million YouTube views, or the 30,000 software users that we support, and that would give you a better understanding of who we are. but who we are is defined by the group of amazing and talented people who work here. We believe strongly that if you're coming to work every day, you should enjoy your experience. We don't define our values, but you'll often hear phrases like, results are the currency of freedom, family comes first, and nobody at GoEngineer is successful without the help of others. We focus on what it feels like to come to work each day and how we treat each other, and the result is a workplace where people stay for years. It's common to find people who have worked here for 5, 10, 15 years or more. The question of who is GoEngineer really comes down to our customers that are developing products that change the world, and the incredible employees that do their jobs extremely well to support those customers. Every customer, every employee, helps define who we are, and we are proud that they are part of the GoEngineer family.
All right, that was an awesome video.
Yeah, we're proud of it. So, my topic, on to the administration side of things. So what's new for 2022? So if you've ever played with admin images, there's some nice enhancements in 2022, the way that they're deployed, the way you can set them up. So this first one, we've got so many people working remote these days. So setting up an admin image for one of those employees, now there's options inside the setup of the admin image to do a remote client admin image. So with that, you're really just transferring the setup options across the VPN, and you're downloading the SOLIDWORKS installation files across the internet like you would normally do. On the other side of the screen, compressed admin image. So it's basically zipping up the files so that they're much smaller, a lot easier to share.
Yeah, we've been through a lot of changes over the last couple of years, so seeing those enhancements and that functionality is just great for our users.
Yeah. Now, depending on how your company is set up, you may have different departments that need different options, need different software as you get installed with the admin image. So with this nested grouping, we can apply the options much easier to the individual groups, drag and drop the groups around, reorganize them, much easier to set up. From there, what about the PDM side of things? Well, a lot of times people will do the vault view as a secondary process afterwards. Now, right inside the admin image, you can prompt it to set up the vault view as part of the admin image. So that was one of the things that got a little bit of applause when we did this presentation in Houston. That's it's not a trivial thing. So those are some of the admin things. Now on to something that actually got released today, my.goengineer.com. It's a customer portal. So we're very proud of this. We'll see where it goes. So if you go to my.goengineer.com, you can come in, manage your assets, maintain your user base. So if you've got new employees that have left, keeping that updated, looking at tech support cases, both for the whole company or for individual users, all kinds of tools included in this new tool. Mm-hmm. So just log in with your email address, create an account, and start exploring. So from here, we just need to go in and get started. The first time you do sign in, your email address may not be tied to an account. So shoot us a quick little message, and we'll work with you to get things associated the correct way. So just give us your company name, maybe a SOLIDWORKS serial number, that'll help things out, and we'll get you going. So let's take a look at what things might be set up if we have a professional admin set of qualifications. There's kind of 3 different levels. You can see all the SOLIDWORKS serial numbers, either SOLIDWORKS or 3D printer serial numbers, so the different assets that you've got. The panel on the left shows some of the different areas where we can look at. And go in and edit who has access or who's assigned a specific serial number, all kinds of information there. If you find yourself needing more licenses, there's a request a quote button up here. It's not going to charge your credit card or anything. It's going to just send us a note, and we're going to get with you and figure out the details of what you might be needing. So it's a nice way of letting us know, hey, we need some more licenses.
That's awesome.
The sales guys like that too.
I bet.
Under manage users, if you have the professional admin privileges, you can actually change things like names and email addresses or what department somebody's with. You can define the level of access that other employees can see. So maybe you don't want them to see the full serial number or all the tech support cases. You can define things. You can remove people from the list when they leave the company, that sort of thing. Okay. Professional admin has full access, but we've got professional and standard. So professional has just a limited access to, the serial number really just gets you the last 4 digits. And standard is just going to let you see the tech support cases that you're involved in. So you can kind of dole out what privileges people have. Okay. Tech support can be a very useful area. Professional admins can see every support case for the company, like I was saying. You can even go into a specific case and add comments. You can even go through and schedule a tech support session right here from this interface. You can look at recently closed issues, or there's some archived cases that are there as well. But if you need some information on some of those archived cases, just let us know, and we can get you the full details. You can even go through and start a new tech support case right here from this interface. Now, calling in or emailing support is probably still the main way you would get support, but you can come in and create a case right here from this level.
Excellent.
So there may be a number of support cases, just like mates in an assembly, right? So you can go back to the manage users side of things and dial in on just one specific user and see the tech support cases for that one user. Mm-hmm. So, shortens the list a bit, and we can come in and see those details. Okay. 2 more areas. So the professional admins are the only ones that have access to the billing area. So you can see active renewal quotes that are out there for the SOLIDWORKS licenses, history on invoices of what you've paid in the past, and then billing information. If the company's moved corporate headquarters, you can change the address and keep that information all updated for us as well. Mm-hmm. Okay. So this tool is still a work in progress. We want your feedback. Let us know what other areas might be useful for us. Our development team is going to take your submissions and work those into this tool as it grows. But we want this tool to be as helpful as possible. So we love your feedback. Just remember my.goengineer.com and get things signed up.
And again, we said that at the beginning of our promo, not only is GoEngineer our employees, but it is also our customers. So this is your opportunity to give us the feedback that you really need to make you guys the most successful that you can be. And now we have a website interface, so you can immediately contact us if you don't have our email, or if you don't have us on Teams or whatever you use to contact us. This is just one other way that you can connect with the company, so we can all stay in touch.
Yeah, and this has already been a huge hit with a lot of our customers. Something people have been looking for a while now. Tony just mentioned that this came out today, and we've already had, between customers just finding it through Google searches on their own, through sales referrals, we've already got 125 plus customers already using this platform. So that's pretty awesome.
This was a big hit when we did this rollout in Houston and showed it to the people.
Yeah, so we just also want to send a huge shout out to our development team for putting this together. You guys do a great job, and we really appreciate you.
Yeah, a lot of effort.
Yep.
So on to poll question number 3. I'm going to let you handle this one, Travis.
All right. So we actually it's a 2-parter here. So be quick on the draw to getting those answers in there. The first question coming up here is, does your company have plans to move server functionality to the cloud? Do you plan on, kind of getting rid of those servers and just having a lot of that already on the cloud. So we got already there. Maybe you're kind of in the process of doing that, so it's in the works. Maybe you're looking at planning stages. If you're not thinking about it, maybe maybe it's something we can introduce you to, or you're just planning on keeping your feet on the ground, everything local and in-house. So definitely got a lot of people chiming in there.
Give it a few more seconds.
So this is something I'm definitely excited about because I'm part of the team that's working on the cloud. So it's always a pleasure to show this tool off to new users or people that don't know much about it. Something that I have a passion for. So we got about 50-60% there. We'll call that
Time's up.
we'll call that good.
Thumbs up, yep.
So right off the bat, showing some of that, showing those results. So we got about 10% of people out there saying that they're already there, working on, moving their company stuff to the cloud. We've got kind of the lower percentage there that it's in the works, in the planning stages. 45% of you said not on our radar. That's all right. Maybe it's just something you're not aware of. The capabilities that are out there. Hoping to show you some of that here. And then 33% just planning on keeping your feet on the ground before getting too crazy.
Good.
Let's take a look.
Could have changed that last one too. The files are inside the computer.
Yep. The next one that we wanted to show off, maybe it's you're not moving all of your server stuff to the cloud. Maybe what can we do to maybe just do some design work on the cloud. So next question is, do you have any interest in CAD tools on the cloud? So maybe you're highly motivated to use some of these cloud tools. Which tools are available? Maybe you don't really know, so you want to see what's out there. Maybe some of you don't know what the cloud is. It's something we can talk about, have a discussion with. Or maybe some of you just want to stick strictly SolidWorks and don't want to worry too much about some of those cloud tools. And really, again, this is just for our benefit. We're really excited to, as I mentioned, being a part of the cloud team, the 3D Experience team, we're interested to see where your interest lies. So that's really what the purpose of these questions are for.
We almost need to ask this poll again after you present the next
Yeah.
section, then see now more people are interested in it.
Yep.
So we kind of positioned it in front of the first 3D Experience section on purpose. So we'll see what people think.
All right, so we got about getting close to 60% there, so we'll close that down. So this one actually, I love these two questions together. It's seeing, where people are currently at or what their plans are versus, where their interest might lie. I'm really encouraged to see that, 50% of you came back and said, what tools are available? What do we have out there that we can use? So that's definitely makes me excited. 40% of you said, just SolidWorks for me, thanks. I want to stick with the basics, and that's great. SolidWorks is not going anywhere, so some great tools, great capabilities there. So let's take a look with that. We'll get into our next section. So you might have guessed, we are now talking about 3D Experience Works. And before jumping into 3D sculpting or data management or anything like that, I wanted to talk a little bit about what the 3D Experience platform is. So the question, what is it? Well, first, it is not a SolidWorks replacement. It's a complement to our existing SolidWorks products and can be used by a variety of our SolidWorks customers, which leads us into the that this is 3D Experience at its core is a collection of different apps that help you accomplish business critical tasks, bringing product development together, allowing users to develop and validate their designs in a collaborative environment. So just some great content here. Now, who is a 3D Experience for? Well, this is really for any organization. Anybody can take advantage of the various tools to complement your current business process. whether that's going to be powerful simulation capabilities. Maybe you're looking for cloud storage, sub-D modeling. With the collaborative designer for SOLIDWORKS, current customers can connect their SOLIDWORKS to the platform. This allows them to work with sub-D modeling tools, get access to data management capabilities, and so much more. SOLIDWORKS Connected is a similar product to our standard desktop SOLIDWORKS, but it's going to be more tailored to use the 3D Experience applications and have a streamlined connection to your platform. So next, getting into the 3D Experience Works, our cloud-based sculpting tool, we're going to look at several points along our process of how X-Shape was used in the design of our Nemo submersible. So getting started with our concept phase. So this is an example of X-Shape. And here, what you can see on the screen is that we've got our geometry created in SOLIDWORKS, and it's been imported into X-Shape. So some of the tools there. So one of the nice things about this is that we're not just working with X-Shape. We can work collaboratively with our SOLIDWORKS users and bringing that level of detail into the into the X-Shape interface. So let's get that started here. So with our geometry added, we can build a sub-D model off of this design. So that's pretty neat, being able to just see where our model is going to be encapsulated. Additionally, we can start from a concept sketch or simply nothing at all. You don't have to bring this stuff in to start your sub-D model. We can just quickly place a sub-D element and begin our design process. Another capability that we don't have with SOLIDWORKS is a browser-based design, and this is really cool. In 3D Experience, we can leverage the power of having any device. As long as your device is connected to a browser, you can use X-Shape. Touchscreens actually make sub-D modeling very fun and easy. So with tools like Align to Curve, we can just simply take a swipe of the pen and align our sub-D element to that curve. This is actually a lot of fun on a touchscreen device. Maybe not so much on a phone, but if you've got a tablet, you can take advantage of these tools right now. Collaborative design is incredibly important. We're not just going to be creating our designs in X-Shape. We're going to be working with SOLIDWORKS users as well. So with that, the SOLIDWORKS connector adds the ability to search for and find necessary components. We can take and just drag and drop them into our assembly. So that allows us to visualize how things are going to look and be able to see what that final model is going to look like. We can also find that information in our add-in and mark up some of the areas that are going to need some changes by our X-Shape designer. So we're able to publish that back to that user so that they can reference that information later. Now while they're working on that, we can still make changes to our sub-D model, such as creating cuts, shells, and more to get a completed model. Now we brought up Align to Curve earlier, and that allows us to align our sub-D elements to various curvature. But the ability to align to curve offers us such a wide range of possibilities when we're using that tool. So in X-Shape, with our assembly up to date, we can actually take that hatch opening and convert that to a sketch in X-Shape. Next, we're going to show our sub-D model, and we're going to create a localized group on the top of that model where the hatch is going to be. We can subdivide that into its own elements. And then when we select that outside curve, we can select the sketch, and we're going to be able to align the curve so that our sub-D model matches right up to that SOLIDWORKS assembly. So that's just some incredibly powerful tools within this software. Now, this is one of the ones that I'm getting a little bit more comfortable with using Cage View. It's definitely a different way of viewing and viewing the information in your model, similar to
Style spline or
style splines working with a control polygon in SOLIDWORKS. So Cage View is going to reveal the underlying constraints driving our curved surfaces. So if we display our Cage View only, we can see that the front vertices in our model are a little bit off. Well, we can select those vertices in sequence, and then those can be aligned together, creating just a nice uniform geometry. Viewing our model from the side, we can see that not only our vertices, but our faces are just out of alignment a little bit. We can select those faces, and we get the ability to add a coincident relationship, just like adding mates in an assembly, getting a nice, smooth, clean surface in our model. Another feature in Xshape is ordered geometric sets. This provides us a little bit extra flexibility when working with a history-based design tree. So we can see that we're going to create separate separate ordered geometric sets for our various elements here. So an ordered geometric set, or OGS, not only helps us organize our model and various elements, but it also severs the dependency on the order in our design tree. So this is pretty neat. So what we're going to do is, with our OGS, we're going to model up that vertical thruster space in Xshape, and we're going to go through some of that same process to get our horizontal element. Now, once we've developed these bodies, what we can do is we can go and use some of the similar functionality like SOLIDWORKS. We're going to use the combine tool to subtract these elements from our main model. Now, once we're done with that, we can see that the vertical thruster isn't exactly in the right spot. We want to lower that opening so that it falls more into that horizontal thruster. With OGS, we're able to update this in real time without having to go back and forth and do some trial and error. We're able to see that horizontal thruster even though it falls after our vertical thruster in the design tree, making this design process, giving us the freedom and flexibility to get this design done quickly. Also, when necessary, this works for more than just concepts. It's capable of precision fit for your downstream operations. And with that, Tony, you're up, right?
Next, we're going to move on to SOLIDWORKS inspection. So some of the new topics for inspection. Let's take a look. So there's some new file types. One we're kind of excited about, and just the expansion of the Smart Extract tool and then API. So we've got a few new file types. We've got NX files, but probably the more popular, at least in the standalone inspection tool, is the ability to use a native SOLIDWORKS drawing. We've always had to use a PDF in the past. Well, what better than a SOLIDWORKS model? We don't really have to do the character recognition. It should be good, nice text for us to go in and grab. Nice dimensions that we're going to bring in as characteristics for our inspection report. So the Smart Extract, very easy. We click on the text, it comes in. Imagine that. So it's going to make our inspection report generation just that much easier. There's new support for some of the enhanced GD&T symbols that are out there. How it breaks those up. We've got the composite GD&T symbols that you mentioned earlier, Travis. Being able to come in and select one of these composite pieces and have it build kind of a 5A and a 5B characteristic, I can't say that, off of the one symbol is gonna be pretty awesome. So it just helps the workflow and breaks up really the data that you really need to collect for the inspection. Okay. So everything is going drawingless. So maybe we've got parts, maybe we've got assemblies with PMI information in there. Being able to bring in the native part files and assembly files into the inspection report and being able to grab characteristics off of a named view is, just think of this as a drawing without the title block and the border. We can come in and grab these characteristics and add them to the report as well. Same thing on the assembly level. Man, we may not have as many, dimensions, but maybe we've got some surface finish symbols or weld notes. We can bring those kind of characteristics in with inspection as well. Okay. If you're really into automating this, we've got the full API where we can write a custom program that does some of this extraction for us and get our code to do a lot of the work for us, automating some of this stuff.
Some great stuff. Thank you, Tony.
Mm-hmm.
Next up, we're going to be talking about Visualize, kind of talking more about some of the ease of function uses. Originally, Visualize is a professional tool that kind of branches between the engineering design and the marketing side of how do we create our vision, how do we translate our vision to our customers and to our design team, and how do we make that a reality, right? So we have some couple added features and some improved features that we're going to show off. So this Nemo submersible is going to be kind of the template for for everything, and we're going to make this into a couple of scenes. We're going to put it underwater. We're going to put it on a boat. And how do we do that if we have different camera angles? If we want to use the same camera, well, there is now the match camera option. So we can seamlessly make the 2D image kind of represented in 3D. So of course we've had HDRI environments. We're just going to be tossing some in here just to show it off. But it is pertinent to get the right focal length of your camera, the right lighting, casting your shadows. We can already see here that we know that this is just thrown into this picture. We know that the shadow is just sitting up above or below the design. So the added new feature that we have, we're going to use, we're of course going to change the perspective to get the right size, make sure it makes sense. And now with our match camera option, it will pull up a 2-point perspective for our submersible, so we can align these with some of the other geometric lines, some of the other walls, some of the other archways with the picture, just so we can get the right perspective on how do we view this, how do we make this as realistic as possible, and make it so that we can actually translate our vision to the customers and show them, hey, this is our idea, right?
Yeah, Visualize has always been something that's terrified me. I'm not very good at creating some of this content, but seeing how easy it is to get that object to fit the image, to fit the picture, it looks incredibly fun. This is awesome.
There is one thing though, the shadow. Did you see that over there?
Yeah.
Yep. They've thought about that. We have the shadow catcher. So, of course, realism is an issue. And if this light is coming in from, I don't know what side of the boat it's coming from, but we're going to need to rotate our shadow. So cool, we can do that. That exists. But how do we approach the wall? Because you can see the shadow, it hits the wall and it just goes right through, as if it didn't exist. Well, we have the new wall primitives and the new primitive options, so we can add a wall, add a plane, add whatever kind of shape we need to conform that shadow to. We're going to place that parallel to whatever face we need to, and then we will tell Visualize, hey, throw the shadow right there, and now make it so you are invisible, so that you are superimposing that shadow onto the image. And now it is moving that shadow so it looks far more realistic, and this is giving us one more image that we can use for our marketing tools.
I thought it looked fine to begin with, but you're right. This takes it to the next level.
Just
Yeah.
it delves in the details, you know?
Well, and it definitely looks a lot better than just chopping the right side of that image off.
Yeah, right.
So,
And it magically not existing. So pattern instances. This is also going to fall in line with scatter patterns. We can create new patterns with just one of our images, because we're going to put this underwater. We want to make this feel realistic, so we can immerse the viewer, the customer, in the experience of this Nemo submersible. So if we put this into the underwater environment, we're going to make sure that the focal length is all set and make sure the perspectives are correct. And for an added bonus, let's say, of course we have to match the camera. That's the proper process to do these. I just get a little ahead of myself. So now we have the right color, we have the right picture quality. Turn on some of the configurations. And for added bonus, from our plates, let's add a fish. Our yellow striped or blue striped fish. I can't remember which one it is. Dr. Seuss would know. So we're going to throw this in here. We have the nice triads. Very great. And instead of having more than one of these items, we can just do it with one. And we don't need to say, oh, okay, throw it here, throw it here, throw it here. We're going to use the scatter pattern that uses the bounding box of SOLIDWORKS. So now we can create an even more immersive photograph of what this should feel like once we're underwater. Of course, it's autopiloted, so you know,
We're chasing the fish.
we're chasing the fish, exactly. Yes. Hopefully, just to hang out.
We're following the fish.
That's right. Yes. Let's go faster. Cool. And animation grouping is a new feature that will be added. So for some veterans of the visualized world, please feel free to fill up chat and let us know how you. We want to get your live reaction on this too. So here we're going to put a couple of perspectives together. We have our timeline. We're going to string together multiple animations from different scenes, and so we're going to throw those into the tree on the bottom. Let the exploded view do its thing. Of course, we can add new groups just from the menu option. So we have the first animation. Great. We're going to color code the next one just so we can keep track of which animation is going on. So now we can much easier, or have an easier time of getting all of the parts actually shown. And remember, this is a 6,000 part assembly, so the fact that Visualize isn't really hanging up on any of these animations,
that's awesome.
It's fantastic. So the camera switching, this is something that we need your full reaction on, because so we're going to go through. That's great. We're going to add the next animation, add a new camera, get a new perspective on it. Of course, we're going to keep it in line with the rest of them so that we can kind of show, get the basic understanding of how these all fall together. And now we're going to create a new camera sequence animation. And so now we're going to take the animation 1, move that to a new perspective, rotating the camera, just getting all the angles that you need. And now the added feature, instead of going to a third party, we have our output viewer. So instead of combining all three of these, putting them in like an MP4 file, or an MP4 file, and then just stringing them together or screen capturing it, now we can visualize all of these scenes. Get what I did there? We can see the data, where they originate from, we can see how much information they carry, and now we can string them together instead of going to a third party and putting that all into one piece of content. So just further simplifying the marketing process from the design standpoint, and of course, for those not in the design world, it lets you play with the designs that are in a multitudes of complexity, and gives us tools that we can use professionally so that our marketing team gets an added bonus.
That's one of my greatest things about that is it's not something that I have to do. Visualize is licensed separately from SOLIDWORKS, so you don't have to have SOLIDWORKS installed on your machine. You can just get licensed for Visualize and run that so that the marketing team doesn't have to bother the designers. That's pretty cool. All right, we've got some poll questions for you, so let's take a look. So the next question, kind of relating back to our earlier topics, is, there we go. How do you currently create inspection documents? Yeah. So are you using any sort of CMM machines? Are you doing any Excel work? Are you just kind of writing all this down yourself on napkins and Post-it notes? Redlining documents. So that's
Need to know basis.
yep.
And some people may not be doing a lot of inspection,
Yeah.
but
Right.
maybe they need to start. So,
Well, or maybe it's a case of those inspection folks aren't on the webinar today.
Yeah.
If you've got people that are doing inspection documents at your company and they're not using some of these tools, shoot them a link to our website. Point them in the direction of the inspection products so they can see those capabilities and see what those tools have to offer. Because you're probably going to make a new friend with easing up their workload a little bit.
yeah. So it looks like Excel may be the winner on this one.
Yep, I'm going to close that down here. So it looks like we've got about 46% of you using Excel to kind of track and document your inspection content, 24% using some sort of CMM, and about 30% putting stuff on napkins, handwriting stuff, Post-it notes, whatever the case may be there.
Whatever works, right? But we always recommend, inspection's pretty nice.
So one more poll here. This kind of leads into the next section. What are you using to create your technical instruction manuals?
Yep.
Are you going through and just taking pictures of it as it leaves the dock? Are you using SOLIDWORKS screenshots? Or I like the words, lots of words. You can, one picture is 1,000 words.
Yep.
That type of thing.
Yeah, I like SolidWorks screenshots. That can be helpful, but taking digital photos, you're getting pictures of the actual product. But that's one of the problems is you actually have to have the product in
Done.
front of
It's
you
gotta be done.
to be able to take some of those photos. So that can be pretty difficult sometimes.
The answer we didn't put on there is SOLIDWORKS Composer.
That's true.
So there could be people already using Composer to get some of these things as well.
So we got about getting close to 50% of you out there getting your votes in. So we'll continue with that. So to share some of those results, we have 29% of you that responded, said digital photos, creating some of that content. 60% coming in with some SOLIDWORKS screenshots, so that's pretty good. I'm assuming, if you're using Composer, you probably responded with that one as well. 10% of you said words, lots and lots of words. I've created technical documents in the past, and yeah, it can usually wind up being a lot of words, but anytime we can add pictures and graphics, that's going to be a huge benefit.
Yep. And speaking of training documents, we are going to show off some new features of the 2022 Composer. So we have fresh new decals. You can just throw them in from SolidWorks. Wasn't really a thing before. And yes, finally is here. Updated translators as well. So updated 3D translations to Composer. Support later versions. This should be a hotkey for you. So please do make use of the S key. We're going to show the quick examples. So now we have our decal. Before, this was just much less of a streamlined process. So you take your decal and you kind of had to import it in really funny ways. So we're going to live dangerously. I'm sorry, we're not going to save because we're professionals here. Kidding. So now we're going to open that file. We can just open it and check it out. Just import as a decal. Done.
Super simple.
We
Yeah.
need it forever.
We need it forever, yeah. Not much to really say on it, but it exists. our lives are a little bit easier creating training manuals now.
So what's next after Composer?
Oh, we're not done yet.
We're not done yet? There's more Composer?
This is going to be opening up and showing us the file type. So this is going to be, it's an assembly type. We're going to go up. We've got all the other options for the different types of decals we can spit out. Just added file types. These didn't really exist beforehand, so
Sweet.
yeah, it's just extra options so that we can make the training process and the training manual creation a little bit easier. So those who use a lot of words in your documents, this is worth consideration because now you have more information in your pictures.
Okay, now on to routing. I got ahead of ourselves. So what's new in routing for 2022? A lot of this is more on the SOLIDWORKS electrical side of things. So the ability to add C points while you're in SOLIDWORKS. So with regular routing, we've had that. For electrical, maybe we need that option. It's nice not to have to go all the way into the library, the manager.
Yeah.
Back shells and harnesses. I've had people asking for this for quite a while. Think of a connector, kind of a sub-assembly. So you've got your main connector, but then this back shell maybe is a strain relief or that type of thing. To have the route then kind of flow through that was a pain to begin with. Now with back shells and harnesses being supported, there's some nice examples even in the design library. Mm-hmm. Once you've got those in, being able to go through and show those in the flat pattern is another great tool. So just a couple things with routing, and then we can move on to the simulation side.
The simulation world, that's right. My bread and butter. I really love this stuff. Kind of extra things that we're adding on. Improved bonded interactions. I know we've probably had this discussion with some people maybe in the audience and how important connections are. And now the new blend curvature-based mesher just makes everything much easier. First, we'll talk about the bonded interactions inside the Nemo submersible. The frame has quite a lot of bonded contacts within the inside of it, of course. So when we go to simulate that, that's going to be all fixed together. It is now improved. So when we are running our total simulation on just that part, we have actually increased the speed here as well by 27%.
That's awesome.
Solving runtimes, yes. It's gonna, yeah. I often tell people sometimes your simulations may have to take you through lunch break. Now maybe just a coffee break. So, things have to compile. The new linkage rod connector is a completely new fixture in SOLIDWORKS 2022 that I'm really looking forward to getting to know better. So just keeping track with the Nemo, this hatch is going to rotate. Each linkage rod is going to pull it open, and it requires 500 newtons to engage the opening. And instead of simulating the entirety of this model, not a new feature of SOLIDWORKS 2022, but if you take one of our AMS sessions, we generally advise that we simplify our symmetry, simplify our geometry, with symmetry fixtures. So by just keeping this in the third of the simulation, we'll be able to call out our cylindrical fixture, give it what type of linkage rod, give us our finish link. We'll specify the circumference, what type of rod it is, and the radius of that, of course. Remember, this is a virtual connector. We want to replace these with physical connectors because when we use actual physical connectors, it can get really messy. But since it's a virtual one, it holds rigidity certain ways, holds certain degrees of freedom in a way. And the result here shows that we will need to, I think this is where we are going to increase on it. So design notes, that gives us the resultant of understanding if it's going to be inside of design or outside of it. We have that option to change it, and then we can go back to finish the model. So blended curvature-based mesh, this is going to give us more options to understand the nuance in our design. Oftentimes, I have the discussion of how much mesh is too much mesh. And there is a fine line, there is a balance between what is enough and what's not good enough. the new blended curvature-based mesh gives us that flexibility so that when we mesh the entire part, it's great. We can actually get down to the definition that we want, and we're able to specify some parameters that are beyond what the standard of SOLIDWORKS just automatically calculates. Those are the largest and smallest elements there. We now have added flexibility in those controls to make sure that we have the appropriate mesh density for our small parts so that nothing gets under-calculated. One way you can think about that. And of course, we are transitioning into flow simulation. New added features for us are going to be the flux plot transient explorer. It's getting more advanced, and the flux plot is becoming more applicable for the time-based analyses. The flux plot it works in tandem with the transient explorer. So once we define our time steps, we'll be able to run our simulation, and through those time steps, we're going to be looking at how those results work out. For this example, we're going to be interrogating the heat given off by a lamp. So each bulb, each 6 of these has a different heat wattage output, and we're going to be doing a very quick overview of how we are going to understand the results of these. The different configurations that we're going to go through as well. We don't want to just apply straight wattage to it because then it'll burn out. So this gives us the time dependence of how much wattage is going to one particular one. So from here, we open up the Transient Explorer, and again, the Transient Explorer takes us each time step as we go throughout the analysis. We will turn this on. Oh, there it is. Gotten a little ahead of myself. So now the flux plot says, okay, where is the heat being transferred to within which part that the arrow is pointing to. The Transient Explorer now can allow us when we can stop it, but now we can track what the temperature relations are between whatever part is exchanging heat between one another. So instead of using the Transient Explorer and just stopping it and then going, oh, okay, go to this time step, it's all just included in one feature. Now the new results comparison, we can look at different results both on top of each other and side by side. So if we need to see what the total resultant heat was on a certain given area, or what the difference is between certain configurations, this is now the new results feature that we have. So because of course we have different heats applied to these different lamps. After running the analysis, I think it died. After running the analysis, we're going to be having these different results options here. Right now we have the results, so we can see that whichever one was finished is displayed. So we have the 200 watt, 20 watt, and a couple other options side by side, and this is a surface plot, so we slice to the results on one of those faces. Oh. Sweet. Now we have the merge option, so we can put them all together and say, okay, what's the total amount of, or the minimum amount of heat given off by these lamps? So just added ways to understand and interpret the results that we get. It's going to be a great help for me, for other customers, so we can understand what's going on with our design instead of having to pull the rollback bar or Transient Explorer bar, having to go through a certain time step and trying to predict which time step it's going to be at, so we can get that actual result. Now we have the surface plots and the differences plus minus results.
That's cool.
Included with the results summary. Oh yeah. So now it's just making interrogating our results just much easier and much more easier to translate our results so that we can understand how do we move forward with our designs, or if we need to pull things back. And the extra scenes added here, this is going to be something that I'm going to be using much more often so I can create better plots for our customers, and I can't wait to see the added bonus features and the way that our customers use this, because even though we understand how all of it works. SolidWorks also claims that once it gets into the customer's hands, that's where it also really flourishes, because there's ambition in the design world, and we do new things with it, and we get to learn from it, and we get to give that to our customers. And of course, if we learn it ourselves, of course we're going to let our customers know. We'll teach them to you.
All right. Well, that takes us back into the 3D experience world. We wanted to pull in some of the SIMULIA capabilities to see what's new in 2022 there. So the 3D Experience platform provides a collection of best-in-class simulation apps built with industry-leading technology, including Abacus and FE Safe. And all these things connect seamlessly with SolidWorks. So taking a look at some of the topics we're going to be covering, these are just some of the highlights. And to start with advanced meshing, this is going to provide us additional mesh capabilities, including our quad and hex. So with our Nemo submersible, we're going to have a depth rating of 100 meters. So it's going to be critical that our battery compartment can withstand the pressures beyond that depth to ensure safe operation. So we can save the updated model to the platform, and then we can launch the structural model creation app and start the simulation process. Our automated FEM recognizes the thin components of our model, and it's going to create mid-surfaces associated with and associated shell mesh bodies all in one simple command. Next, we're going to look at some of the parametric design studies capable of the 3D Experience tools. So we can launch the parametric design app and select the parameters and goals of interest. And then once we're done with that, we can just let the computer do the rest of the work. When our study's done, we can easily interpret and compare the performance of those various configurations, and the best design is even highlighted for us.
And for everyone in the simulation world in the audience, I'm sure you guys are kind of going, holy moly, this is kind of crazy, because in our world, the parametric study is not this friendly looking.
So, also looking at some of the durability studies. We've got stress and strain-based fatigue analysis. So the stress values are, they're going to be within the expected range, but how many times can our Nemo submersible withstand those applied loads? So to reveal the answer, we're going to set up a durability study. We can view those fatigue life results. And then we're going to look at some of the cloud computing functionality. So to greatly decrease our solve time, we can choose to run the simulation on the cloud, leveraging the high performance computational power of those online servers.
So now we can run it and go back to our native SolidWorks and work on other things while this cooks overnight, or however long it takes.
Yeah. So this is some of the capabilities of using some of those 3D experience tools and the SIMULIA applications. Once we're done with all that, we do want to still collaborate with our other users. So using those 3D experience tools, how can we view those online results? Well, our results may be viewed by other collaborators from the internet browser. So everyone can get the latest information instantly from one place. So definitely some great capabilities there in 3D Experience SIMULIA.
Next, we're going to move on to plastics, and we've got about 15 minutes left, so thanks for hanging on with us here. So what's new for 2022? There's some highlights. The enhanced material database, there's new materials that are going through. There's tons of increased data points on some of the materials that were there.
Much more detailed.
So just a much bigger library of materials to pick from. As far as the injection advisor, we've kind of played with that in the past. It's a little bit smarter for us now. We can come in and use it to help us predict, where might we put our injection points at. There's places on here that maybe we don't want. We know we don't want the injection point there, so we can, eliminate those areas. It even takes into account the direction of pull for helping us figure out, where to set this up. So a sketch-based runner system, there's been some nice enhancements for that. Being able to go in and sketch the lines with just regular sketches, being able to go through and set up the thickness, taper one direction or another, come in and use multiple lines to set up the runner.
And the flip.
Just the flip is something that people have been wanting for forever. It should be able to flip which way the taper is going. So now when it comes to where we have a left hand and a right hand version of this handle for our submersible, maybe we set up things different. There's been some enhancements to the mirror boundary condition. We've had this for a while now, but the ability to go through and visualize this with better accuracy. Used to we could only visualize it really right on the original. Now we can go in and click on the runner there in the symmetry plane and be able to see the results on both the left hand and the right hand piece. Same type thing on the cyclical boundary condition. That's usually harder for me to say. I did good on it. If we have, instead of a left hand and a right hand, maybe we want 2 or 3 of these same sided parts in the mold, being able to turn on this cyclical symmetry, and again being able to visualize the results on all 4 of the parts instead of just that original one is a great enhancement.
Yeah, it's great to see them take those capabilities from simulation and flow simulation and directly apply it into plastics, because it's the next best thing to move it into.
And we were joking about this one at dinner last night. The run button, just like regular simulation analysis, is now up at the top of the tree, and it's more like what we're used to with the rest of our simulation tools. Okay, poll question number 5.
All right, so real quick here. Get that to you.
So for you simulation people or people that want to be using simulation, let's take a look at this poll question. What's the number one reason you might not be using SOLIDWORKS simulation tools?
So maybe, you don't have a license, or maybe you have a license but you don't know how to use it. That's typically my case.
That's why we're here too.
And then there's this whole, hey, can I really trust the results? And we saw some of the new enhancements for the results. A lot of times, from what I've seen, maybe just looking at the delta. Hey, we know the results got better. We would always, hey, let's try to make the natural frequency increase by so much percentage. And just by changing some of the geometry, that type of thing, if we can get that increase over a known result, then maybe that's enough. But, is red always bad? Is blue always good? You don't know with the legend, so exactly. It's a lot about setting up the model, getting it to run, and then interpreting the results, right?
And a lot of times when I've had to justify the results or prove the results to a customer, it's really translating how to understand what they've done with their setup and how the tool and how the results are interpreted from SOLIDWORKS. Because if you go to our blog, we also have some articles where I've published where it's kind of talking about the proof of SOLIDWORKS, doing a hand calculation side by side, and that kind of goes through the basic setup of how to properly set up our analyses. So 2022 is going to get even easier.
Yeah. Speaking of results, we got 45% of you that came back saying you don't have a license. So if that's a problem for you, definitely reach out to our sales team. They'll be happy to help you out with that. 41% said you have a license but don't know how to use it. Definitely some tools and training out there.
Call us up.
Yeah, so reach out.
So what's next?
Next, let me hide this here for you. We have PDM. So I know a lot of you have been waiting for this one. So with PDM, got a handful of topics we're going to look at. Some of them are pretty simple. Some of them are pretty awesome. So getting started, we have user presence cards. This is going to give us the ability to have easier access to user profile information. Profile pictures are now supported with our login button, and presence can be updated quickly inside PDM. So to start, hovering your mouse over the new login profile picture when we're working with PDM gives us quick access to editing our presence note. So if we open up PDM here, in the top right corner you're going to have your profile picture, and we can make changes to our notes right from here, or for our presence. And then if we want to find out what maybe one of our teammates is up to, we can hover our mouse over that username to find out what that teammate's up to, so we can see that they're currently creating flat patterns for the vendors. So definitely, some cool updates there. We also have full eDrawings UI in 2021. So inside of our preview space, there's going to be a dedicated button for switching from our static preview image to our eDrawings viewer. So this is going to give us the full desktop UI fully embedded into this preview window. We've got things like the measure tool. We can take a look at the component design tree, as well as adding annotations are also supported. Now, next up, something that not everybody might have or even be aware of, we have Xlead one-part integration. So now you can incorporate your Xlead one-part searching directly in the PDM Professional environment. So this is the Xlead one-part is a search and discovery tool that allows users to get deep insight into your vaulted 3D data. So pretty cool stuff. So what we're going to do, we need to add some hardware to our assembly. So we're going to search for our part to add to the top of this model. And by searching Xlead, this allows us to not only search for the model that we're looking for, but it also allows us to find similar components. Maybe we've got different revisions or different varieties of this model. So we can see it actually checks the 3D similarity, not just on the names of those files. So here we can see that our third option is showing that it has the lightest weight. And we can simply, from the Xlead search, open that into SolidWorks. So we can quickly and easily add that model into SolidWorks without having to go through the work of creating an entirely new part and taking the time for that design process. We can just find what we're looking for through Xlead.
Oh, dropped it in there.
Yep. A couple of things about that. Xlead is a separately licensed product, so you will want to reach out to us about that. You can also open drawings from the model. So regardless of where your drawings are stored in the vault, or even what that file is named, we can simply open that with a right click and open drawing. And that's going to be able to open up our drawing. From the PDM add-in, we can find the model, right click on that and open from drawing as well. So just multiple ways of getting access to your data in the manner that makes sense for you. With Active Directory enhancements, this is providing us an easier than ever way to bring new users into PDM. So we've got user profile enhancements, giving us more functionality there, and support for detailing mode. So taking a look at this, we've got, we're going to see that our users and groups management have been combined to just make things a little easier to manage within the admin tool. For our Active Directory users out there, the picture has also been imported, and the user property card has been updated as well, just to provide more information for bringing in with that Active Directory. The Windows group, when we import that, the Windows group name can be overridden just to provide an easier name to identify in the tree. And then we can also go through and block the transition of drawings that have been saved in detailing mode. This is pretty important because you want to make sure to open up your drawings and fully resolve them to make sure they're fully up to date. So with that option, there's also a new system variable that's been added to identify drawings that have been saved in detailing mode, just providing you that clear visibility of what's out there, and how it's been saved. Some other new capabilities, we can preview neutral files in Web 2, giving you added flexibility and how we want to view maybe vendor files. You can also configure data cards in Web 2, providing you just greater control over what properties are there, how they're represented, and in what order. So definitely some great content there.
So wow, we're at almost 1:56 our time, so we've got a few more minutes to go.
Yep.
What else can you squeeze in?
Well, we got 3D Experience Works for cloud data management. This provides us, data management is important for any business, and 3D Experience allows us to, some of those smaller companies that may not have the ability to jump in with PDM Professional, this gives us a little bit more comfortable way to jump into that data management space. So just a couple processes and highlights from our process working with the Nemo submersible. We're going to look at direct connection. 3D Experience allows us to directly connect to taking our SOLIDWORKS Connected or the Collaborative Designer, and we can get immediate access to model information, reservation status, as well as revision details right within the SOLIDWORKS add-in. We can also look at maturity life cycle, taking our parts through some sort of release process. So if you're needing to control that release status, in the add-in we can quickly set our desired components maturity status, whether that's going to be private, in work, frozen, or released. Just giving you the access and the control that you need over your parts history. Now this 3D Experience data management tools, they're not just tied to CAD data. We can, it's important that we're able to manage non-CAD data as well. So if we're storing, other reference material from the SOLIDWORKS task pane, we can upload non-CAD data like our instruction sheet and a composer file using the upload tool. Now, most files in 3D Experience can be previewed interactively within the task pane. So without any additional external viewing apps, we can view things like our PDFs and our composer files. It's important to be able to collaborate and communicate with other individuals, so having the ability to quickly highlight items and add messaging for requests for change, we can actually add that directly within that SOLIDWORKS add-in. So here we got to make some changes to our hand wheel. We can identify material that we're going to remove, maybe areas that we're going to add some content, and just kind of highlight those notes for other users. And then we can quickly open this part in SOLIDWORKS to get the latest version, and that's automatically retrieved from the cloud. We've got where used, so if we're making changes to our models, it's important to make that we've got control over the required items. So doing a quick where used search identifies that our hand wheel is located in a subassembly below the master. So we can open this up and get to work. We can then do some revision control on our geometry. So this particular item is released. So we want to make sure, in order to update this, we need to create a new revision of the assembly and our hand wheel. The structure is identified as out of date, so we can just replace these components with the new revisions, and we'll set these to reserved. So this process allows us the ability to have modification access without locking other users out of that full assembly. And then we also want to be able to manage drawings within this tool. So with all of the assembly changes that we've gone to, we're going to access the bookmark editor from our task pane, giving us easy access to our drawings. With our drawings in sync, we can then save this to our revision B, and we're going to set the part and our drawing to a frozen state. So there's our new revision, and we'll change the maturity state. So with data storage, change management, and concurrent design, out-of-the-box cloud management can help your team be productive right away. So thanks for hanging on with us. We do have that really concludes the content that we wanted to show. So now we're getting into some of the fun parts.
We have fun parts?
We do have fun parts. Yeah, parts to give away.
So throughout all the rollouts, we've been having a drawing for some giveaways. We've got a great sponsor in Dell and NVIDIA that's given us some prizes to give away.
Yeah.
And so for drum rolls, let's look at the second place. Looks like Bryant Helgeson.
Way to go, Brian.
Congratulations.
Graphics card is on its way. We will contact you to let you know when it's coming.
Our first place winner, Jason Bardis at Edwards Life Sciences. So congratulations.
I think that's my new best friend. He may get the graphics card. We'll see if the laptop makes it. But we want to definitely thank you guys for entering the drawings for the giveaways.
And for those of you that didn't win, don't worry, you're not completely out of luck. Be sure to check out our website. We mentioned that Dell's been a huge supporter for us. You can receive some great competitive pricing, plus an additional 5% off if you take a look at our website. So, yeah, definitely head over there.
Yes.
Yep.
Make use of that 5% off, please.
Yep. The last one, remember the customer portal, take a look at that. It's got some great trajectory. We're excited to see where it's going to go. Mm-hmm. Go in and create your own account today and take a look at what's there. But for Travis and Johnny and Tony, we thank you guys for joining us. For my part, I'm on kind of the 3D printing team. So I was going to print you guys your own submersible.
Hey!
So we've got a start to it.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So you've got
right.
there's the knob.
One part.
So we're going to keep working on that for a few more years. We'll see. But we'd like to thank you guys for joining us. And
yeah, really, we couldn't be here without you. So you really are a part of the GoEngineer family. So we appreciate the time that you took to hang out for a couple hours, watch us talk about what's new. So yeah, thank you for joining us. And
as much as this is for us, this is also for you. So please do contact us after this if you have any more questions, or if you want to get some training or whatever. If you just want to give us a comment, just feel free to let us know and get in contact with us. We really appreciate to hear from you guys.
Yeah, I actually, in the time that we've been working here, I've actually got a notification of a new AMS session. So,
hey,
is it 8 o'clock in the morning tomorrow?
Thankfully, no, it's a little early.
So,
thank you, everybody, and we look forward to working with you and seeing you in the future.
Yeah, this time next year.
Yeah,
at least.